From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2299, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. We begin this week by putting out the welcome mat to some new radio amateurs on board the International Space Station. One of them is even in charge of the crew.
Congratulations to Raja Chari, KI-5LIU, the newest commander of a NASA space mission. Raja and his 3 fellow members of SpaceX Crew 3 are now aboard the International Space Station, having made the trip aboard the Endurance, which launched on Wednesday, November 10th. The U.S. Air Force test pilot from Iowa is the first rookie to command a NASA mission in several decades. The mission is expected to last 6 months. It promises to be a busy 6 months for the crew, which includes Matthias Maurer, KI-5KFH from the European Space Agency. The German astronaut will be involved in more than 35 experiments while on board the ISS. He will also be using the German call sign DP0ISS during a dozen scheduled contacts with German schools through the amateur radio on the International Space Station program. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9VPG.
For now, the newly constituted crew of the ISS is keeping a very low profile. The Russian military's intentional destruction of an old Soviet-era intelligence satellite has launched a cloud of space debris into low Earth orbit. That's a prime location for pieces to potentially strike and damage the ISS or any other low Earth orbiting satellite. As noted in an article on the National Geographic website, the expanding universe of space junk has spurred an even more critical need for space agencies such as NASA to track the paths of these fragments. While space agencies sorted out the situation, the astronauts were told to take shelter in the 2 capsules attached to the ISS, which could bring them back to Earth in an emergency. NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei, KG5GNP, later called the experience, quote, a great way to bond as a crew. Think you don't have room for an antenna? Researchers at Princeton University's Keller Center for Innovation and Engineering Education are experimenting with one antenna that's so small it might just blend into the wallpaper.
They're basing their work on something called large area electronics, which allows electronic circuits to be created on material that is both thin and flexible. As a result, they're hoping to develop an antenna array that could be incorporated into something as thin as wallpaper or even a skin patch. Their findings are published in the October 7th issue of Nature Electronics. A report on the phys.org website quotes Naveen Verma, the senior author of the study, describing how the researchers adapted zinc oxide thin film transistor technology for wireless use. They created a phased array of antennas in a row that is 30 centimeters or 1 foot long. Scientists said that to add to their usefulness, the antennas could be located practically anywhere, even as wallpaper in a room, making it potentially compatible with devices being developed as part of the Internet of Things. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Dave Parks, WB8ODF, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW, saying 7-3. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.